In this video, I'm going to show you how I create a Cognito user from my web app. In a previous video, I showed you how to create a user pool. The interface has changed significantly. So I'm going to show you quickly how it's done now with the after the redesign. Go to User Pools, click Create User Pool. Define your application type, ensure traditional web application is selected. Scroll down, name your application, give it a name, configure options for sign-in identifiers, select username, required attributes for sign-up. In the drop-down, select email. Scroll down and click Create. So there are a lot fewer steps now, and I guess what AWS wants you to do is go back and modify anything that you need to make it work for your scenario. The important things that you need to see on the overview page are on the left menu. Under applications, you have app clients, and under user management, we have users. So we're going to go through those next. Under app clients, click your app client name. App client information, I've highlighted the client ID, the client secret, and the authentication flows. The two important ones are username and password and server-side administrative credentials. If you don't have those, click the edit button. Select sign in with username and password, and also sign in with server-side administrative credentials, and save. Here is what your users should look like before they have authenticated for the first time. Email verified will show no. Confirmation status will show force change password, and status should show enabled. This is what your users should look like after they have authenticated for the first time. Email verified is yes. Confirmation status is now confirmed. Status is still enabled. I created a Lambda function to integrate with my web application. Here I've highlighted the function URL. In previous videos, I've showed you how to create a Lambda function, create the function URL, and set up cores. We'll go through some of that quickly here, but if you need details, go back to one of the previous videos. Click on the Configuration tab. Sorry, I meant to say click on the Code tab. Here I'm not showing the code for the Lambda function for obvious reasons. If you scroll down on the page, I am showing you that the Cognito _client object here is calling the admin create user function. It's passing the user pool ID, which I mentioned before, the username, which has to be supplied from your user, temporary password, which I'm getting from an environment variable, and then user attributes. Now click on the Configuration tab. On the left, click Permissions. Notice you'll see the execution role I have. It begins with the word create. Here are the permission policies I've assigned to that execution role. The important one is Amazon Cognito Power User. That gives the user the ability, or gives Cognito the ability to do what it needs to do for authentication. The second one, CloudWatch Logs Full Access, gives access to CloudWatch logs so you can debug your application when there are errors. On the left side, function URL. Ensure that the auth type is none, because we're going to do our own authentication. Under cores, allow origin is all, allow headers is all, allow methods is all. Now this is fine for testing and during development, but in a production environment you want to lock things down. On the left side, environment variables, I'm using the temporary password. User pool client ID, you can get that from the app client page or the overview page, and the same for the user pool client secret and the user pool ID. Here's an example of a web page that I'm going to use to create my user. You can see the information I have here: first name, last name, username, email address, and password. And underneath, you can see the requirements for the complexity for the password. And here is a snippet of the code in JavaScript where I'm passing the parameters to the Lambda function, and you can see here what the request options are. So if you have all that set up, hopefully when you call this Lambda function, it should create your user and it should be verified, as we talked about earlier.